The only thing she took was her most prized possessions. That's what the wife said to detectives when they asked what was missing from 16-year-old Ayanna Sawyer's room. The detective asked, "What was that?" She said, "All of her Victoria's Secret underwear." And right then her husband, the girl's uncle, turned around, laughed, and said, "Yeah, 38 pair." Now stop right there. Her own mother didn't know exactly how many pairs of underwear her daughter owned, but her uncle did, down to the exact number. The detective wrote in his notebook, *38 pair ? Because that right there? That was the moment he knew. 4 days later they found out just how much Uncle Jonathan really knew. When his own brother called from New York with details so specific, so disturbing, that it changed everything. This is the story of how a family's trust became a 16-year-old girl's death sentence. And how the man who was supposed to protect her spent 2 years making sure nobody would ever find out what he was really doing when those girls came over to babysit. Today we need to talk about something that happened in Jacksonville, Florida back in 2018. This case is going to stay with you because it's about trust, family, and how sometimes the people we're supposed to be safe with are the ones we need protection from. Ayanna Sawyer was 16 years old. Straight A honors student at Terry Parker High School. She had scholarship offers already lined up and she was only in 10th grade. This girl wanted to be either a doctor or a lawyer. She took college classes while still in high school because she was on track to graduate early. She had her whole future mapped out. Her family described her as the definition of, "If I can believe it, I can achieve it." Always up for a challenge. Always making people laugh. She was the jokester, the peacemaker, the one who brought everybody together. But Ayanna had lost her mother when she was younger. So she was being raised by her father, Christopher Gunn, along with her younger brother and sister. They were tight. The kind of family that talked every day. If you didn't hear from somebody, you knew something was wrong. Now, Ayanna's family was close-knit. Her father had sisters, and one of those sisters was named Naomi. Naomi was married to a man named Jonathan Quillus. Jonathan was 33 years old. He was a stay-at-home dad married to Ayanna's aunt. They had a 3-year-old daughter together, and in 2018, Naomi was pregnant with their second child. Jonathan had grown up in Brooklyn, New York, but he'd been in Jacksonville for years. He worked at a place called Ace Pick-A-Part, a junkyard where people came to pull parts off old vehicles. Naomi worked long hours as a truck driver, sometimes starting at 2 a.m., so Jonathan was home a lot. And because of Naomi's schedule, they needed help with babysitting. That's where Ayanna and her younger sister came in. The girls would come over regularly to watch their little cousin. Sometimes together, but Ayanna being older would often come alone. At least once a month consistently. The family trusted Jonathan completely. He was Uncle Jonathan. He took the girls to the beach, taught Ayanna how to drive, helped them with things their own father wasn't around for. Their main way of communicating was through Snapchat. Naomi noticed this but didn't think anything of it. She figured that's just how young people talked. Messages disappear, but that's just the platform, right? Except some family members didn't like Jonathan. They noticed odd behaviors. Strange interactions. Naomi herself even asked both girls directly in early 2018 if Jonathan had ever done anything inappropriate. She said if they said yes, she'd take their daughter and leave him immediately. Both girls said no. Nothing inappropriate had happened. So life continued. The girls kept babysitting. Jonathan kept being Uncle Jonathan. And everybody thought everything was fine. But in March 2018, something happened that's important to understand. Ayanna had an encounter with a 20-year-old neighbor named Kamar Humphrey. Ayanna was only 15. When her mother Kimberly found out, she immediately reported it to police and took Ayanna to get examined because of the age difference. Evidence was collected. Charges were filed against Kamar. He ended up on the registry. But when that evidence was tested, they found DNA from 2 males. Kamar's DNA was there. But there was also DNA from another unidentified male. Nobody knew who that second person was. At least not yet. Now let's jump to December 2018. On December 3rd, Ayanna told her mother she was pregnant. Kimberly was shocked. Upset. Not at Ayanna, but worried about what this meant. All those scholarships, all those dreams of medical school or law school, how was that going to work now? But Kimberly said once she felt that baby kick for the first time, everything changed. She just wanted to support her daughter. So she scheduled an OBGYN appointment for December 13th. At that appointment, they found out Ayanna was 22 weeks pregnant. 5.5 months. She was having a girl. Ayanna named her Hazel Michelle Mobley. Ayanna never questioned keeping the baby. She knew she could be a great mother and still chase her dreams. The family was excited. Christmas was coming. They were preparing to welcome baby Hazel. But Kimberly had one big question. Who's the father? Ayanna said his name was Jose. Now Kimberly did the math. 22 weeks pregnant in December meant Ayanna conceived around July. And in July, Ayanna and her sister had gone to visit their grandparents in Georgia. So Kimberly thought maybe it was someone from that trip. But she was skeptical because Ayanna had never mentioned a boyfriend. And they told each other everything. Then Kimberly started thinking about Kamar, the neighbor from March. Could he be the father? But Ayanna was firm. It was Jose. Nobody in the family knew anyone named Jose. Ayanna's friends didn't know him either. But Ayanna stuck to that story. December 19, 2018 started like any other day. Kimberly went to work. The kids went to school. But that afternoon, Kimberly got a call. Ayanna didn't get on the bus home. And she never showed up at the house. School records showed Ayanna attended her morning classes but didn't show up for her last 2 periods. Surveillance cameras caught her leaving school property around 11 a.m., wearing a white hooded sweatshirt, light blue jeans, carrying 2 large bags. When Kimberly first heard this, she started calling family members from work. Once she realized nobody could find Ayanna, she left work immediately and started searching. Her sister filed a missing persons report while everyone else looked and made calls. When Kimberly got home, she went through Ayanna's room. Some clothing was missing. Specifically, Victoria's Secret bras and underwear. That was Ayanna's favorite brand. This confused Kimberly because Ayanna had left school with bags. But why would she pack and leave without saying anything? The next day, one of Ayanna's friends told investigators something crucial. Ayanna had told her she was going to stay with a man for 2 weeks. His name was Jonathan Quillus. Uncle Jonathan. When police heard this, combined with family accusations in a group chat saying Jonathan might be the baby's father, they knew they needed to talk to him. On December 27th, police went to Jonathan and Naomi's house. Over 2 hours of body camera footage was collected. Jonathan talked about how close he was to the girls, how he encouraged Ayanna to stay in school and focus on her future.
She's a big old baby, but you know, she's nosy, you never know.
Oh, okay.
I remember you came over to Main Street, the guy tried to take some money, the auto zone. This is like probably like 2-3 years, like maybe 4 years ago.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've done a lot, man.
The guy, he ended up pulling my money out my wallet. I left it on the counter, and we ended up tussling, and I ended up getting more money back than he actually initially talked. We just kind of just walked off.
Yeah.
It was even swap,
That's crazy, man.
I know. I used to be on the job too in New York. You know, I know you find crazy stuff like that. But you know, we literally had her kids for summers. You know, summer at a time, and then weekends. All of them. And you know, it's just like if we knew where she was at, we would have been the first ones to grab her ass and bring her over.
Yeah, exactly.
We're posting stuff on our Facebook trying to find her the same way they are. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Even though we're not speaking.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know. So you guys, when was the last time you all saw her then?
Last time they stayed the night over here, which was before, it was in November. Last week in November, we had all 4 of them over here.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. Yep. And still to this day, we don't know what the freak. We don't know what the hell happened there, because it's all been, you know, this, that. You know, it's never been. Nothing has been consistent at all. So it's like that's missing.
Man, that's crazy. That's sad. Has she ever done this before? Has she ever gone missing before?
No. She's okay. Like I told you, all the officers, and she's complained. You know, always, both of them, they always complain. She's always complaining, you know, and I always tell her, it's like, look, first of all, your mom is your mom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your mom loves the hell out of you, no matter what. And I always was, always big on mom. Is your mom the best mom? Not at all. You know what I'm saying? She comes home.
She's still a mom.
Yeah, she's a mom. You know what I'm saying? We only get one.
Yeah.
But I explained to them, I was like, listen, your situation is fucking awesome compared to my situation growing up. You know what I mean? I had a real rough one growing up. Just, you know, stay focused in school. Stay focused. You want to get out the house, the right way is
School,
and then no, she's honor student, like
That's
big
good.
time, oh, big time. She's an honor student, and you know, she's doing everything that she needs to do to go ahead and make a transition to get out and go to college. And I was like, well, that's the best way, you know, that's the best way to go.
Yeah.
This thing is just, I'm stressed. If I check my phone right now with my finger on it, like the Samsung, oh man, that damn thing would be probably all the way to the roof. My ears are hot. And when I asked her about it, she said that she knows who the father was, but she ain't saying.
Oh, she did know?
Yeah, she knows who the father of the child was. So she just, but then, you know what I'm saying, you can't really take anything that she's saying serious, because now that she's been gone, all this stuff that's been going on, going around, she's been dealing with this dude, then that dude, and this other one is something that she was dealing with cousins at the same time, that one's supposed to be the baby father or something. You know, another one.
But in January 2019, everything changed. Jonathan's brother Joseph called police from New York. He was crying. He could barely get the words out. Joseph said Jonathan had called him multiple times the day Ayanna disappeared. When Joseph finally answered, Jonathan confessed to something terrible. Jonathan told Joseph he knew Ayanna's baby was his. If she had that baby, it would ruin his life. So he lured her to the junkyard where he worked, promising they'd run away together. Once they were in a vehicle at the junkyard, he tried to strangle her. But he couldn't stomach looking at her face. So he pulled out a gun and shot her. He ended her life and the life of her unborn daughter. Then he put her body in a dumpster and destroyed the vehicle he'd used. When Joseph asked how long he'd been planning this, Jonathan said months. He'd begged Ayanna to terminate the pregnancy, but she refused. So he felt he had no choice. Joseph didn't report this immediately. He said he didn't believe his brother at first. But when he heard from family that Ayanna was actually missing, he realized Jonathan had been serious. Before going to police, Joseph sent Jonathan one last text. I can't talk to you right now. I have to stay firm on my decision. What you told me isn't a joke or something, so yeah, I told the police because they need to know. If you were lying, then you'll be cleared and free. If you weren't, then you won't. I'm sorry. I have to do the right thing for that girl and her family, not the right thing for you and your selfishness. I hate to lose you, but I'd rather that girl's family have some peace. If you're innocent, then you don't have anything to worry about. They won't find her body. But if you are not, they are going to find her. And in that case, I've already lost my brother. I'm sorry. That message tells you everything about the position Joseph was in. He loved his brother, but he knew what was right. After Ayanna disappeared, her younger sister came forward with information that broke the case wide open. She confessed to her mother that Jonathan had been inappropriate with her when she was just 13 years old. And it wasn't just her. She'd seen and known about the same things happening to Ayanna. She told her mother that Ayanna and Jonathan had been in a relationship for 2 years. She confirmed Jonathan was Jose, the baby's father. She said she never told anyone because Ayanna made her keep it secret. She didn't want to ruin the family. Plus, she was terrified of what Jonathan would do if she told. Now let's talk about the evidence that sealed Jonathan's fate. Surveillance from Terry Parker High School showed Ayanna leaving around 11 a.m. with those bags. But the real evidence came from Ace Pick-Apart. That morning, Jonathan drove his red minivan into the junkyard and parked like normal. But at 11:17 a.m., the van was seen leaving the property. And he never punched out on his time card like employees were supposed to do. He was gone for 1 hour and 13 minutes. When the van returned, it drove straight past the employee parking lot. He was out of camera view for about 3 minutes, then pulled into the lot and walked into the office. He came out with what looked like red tape and walked with another worker towards scrap tires. This was around 12:30 p.m. Did Jonathan leave to pick up Ayanna? Did he take her somewhere off camera and do exactly what he told his brother he did? The landfill where Jonathan allegedly disposed of Ayanna's body was searched for 16 days. They found some evidence, but Ayanna's body was never recovered. Still, between Joseph's statement, the sister's testimony, and that surveillance footage, detectives had enough. On January 8, 2019, Jonathan was arrested on first-degree murder charges and other offenses. Even after arrest, Jonathan claimed innocence. So while he sat in jail awaiting trial, detectives convinced 2 inmates to talk to him. One wore a wire, and Jonathan talked for nearly 2 hours. He told the inmate he used a 9mm handgun. He said since his mother worked in a morgue growing up, he knew about decomposition. He was confident police would find very little of Ayanna, if anything. He also admitted to inappropriate acts with both sisters. He was almost proud, like he thought he'd gotten away with it. Remember that evidence kit from March 2018? The one with DNA from an unidentified male? Police ran Jonathan's DNA against it. Match. Jonathan Quillus's DNA was in that evidence from March 2018, before Ayanna even got pregnant. He'd been involved with her longer than anyone knew. When detectives confronted him with this, he denied everything. The detective said, "So if I were to tell you that I found some underwear that had your DNA in it, how would you explain that?" Jonathan said, "That wasn't my DNA. That I didn't. 100%. No way. Because I've never ever been disrespectful to my wife." But the detective wasn't playing games. DNA doesn't lie. Jonathan kept denying, even with all the evidence stacked against him. The trial began in September 2023, almost 5 years after Ayanna disappeared. Jonathan's defense said they couldn't prove premeditation. They wanted reasonable doubt. But the prosecution had a mountain of evidence. Ayanna's mother Kimberly testified about learning of the pregnancy and her suspicions about who the father was. Ayanna's grandmother testified about witnessing an inappropriate hug between Ayanna and Jonathan at Thanksgiving 2018. She said, "He wasn't hugging her like you would a buddy, a pal, a niece, a nephew. He was hugging her like you would your spouse, your mate, or someone you was in love with." Family members testified about their suspicions, about calculating back when Ayanna would have conceived, about not liking the way Jonathan looked at her. The school safety officer testified about surveillance footage showing Ayanna and her sister in the cafeteria right before Ayanna left. The sister appeared to be arguing with Ayanna, using emphatic hand gestures like she was trying to convince her of something, like she was trying to stop her from leaving. Crime scene detectives testified about the landfill search. They found Victoria's Secret underwear, the same items Kimberly noticed missing from Ayanna's room. They found Terry Parker High School textbooks. Then came the most heartbreaking testimony. Ayanna's younger sister took the stand. She described watching the relationship between Ayanna and Jonathan change from uncle-niece to something completely wrong. She testified about things she saw and heard when she was supposed to be asleep on the couch. The prosecutor asked about inappropriate touching, about intimate encounters she witnessed, about Jonathan telling them to use Snapchat because messages disappear. She confirmed Ayanna told her Jonathan was the father of the baby. You could hear the pain in her voice. The defense tried to discredit her because she hadn't told the complete truth initially. But she was 15 years old, protecting her sister, scared of Jonathan. What was she supposed to do? The next day she testified again, this time as a victim herself. She detailed inappropriate things Jonathan did to her when she was 13 at the beach. The prosecutor asked what happened, and through tears she explained. "Did you ever go to your mom and tell her?" "No." "Were you afraid to tell anything?" "Yes." "Were you also protecting your sister?" "Yes." "And why?" "I thought she was going with my grandma, and I wanted to keep our friendship." She thought her sister was just going to their grandmother's house. She didn't know Ayanna was being lured to her death. Jonathan's manager at the junkyard testified that Jonathan's time card showed he never clocked out when his van left the property. The places Jonathan was seen on camera weren't normal for his workday. An inmate testified about Jonathan confessing during Bible study that he'd gotten his niece pregnant and had to get rid of the problem. The jury saw Snapchat messages between Jonathan and Ayanna. Messages where he said, "I'm just so in love with you. I'll kill you and cry." Messages showing jealousy, possession, threats. Jonathan's brother Joseph testified about those phone calls. About Jonathan admitting what he did. About struggling with whether to turn in his own brother. The prosecutor asked, "Did you want to call the police?" Joseph said, "Absolutely not." "Right. But we don't tolerate anything that has to do with inappropriate behavior toward women and children. You know, we don't tolerate that kind of stuff. That's not the cloth that I'm cut from." After all the evidence, the jury deliberated for less than 1 hour. September 21, 2023. Guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder. 1 for Ayanna. 1 for baby Hazel. Guilty on charges related to Ayanna's sister. 3 life sentences without possibility of parole. Ayanna's family said after the verdict, "It's overwhelming, but it's joyous. This has been almost 5 years coming. Justice has finally been served. Are we satisfied completely? His passing will do nothing for us. It won't bring our loved one back. It'll never cover what we lost. So he can live the rest of his life knowing he did not get away with what he did to our family." So what does this case teach us? First, trust your instincts about people around your children. Multiple family members saw things that made them uncomfortable. Ayanna's grandmother saw that hug. Her aunt noticed how Jonathan looked at Ayanna. Even Naomi asked the girls directly if anything was wrong. But when the girls said no, everyone backed off. And I get it. You don't want to believe someone you love could do that. But when multiple people see something, that's not coincidence. That's a pattern. Second, predators don't look like monsters. Jonathan seemed helpful, kind, family-oriented. He took the girls to the beach, taught Ayanna to drive. That's how they operate. They build trust, make themselves necessary, then use that trust to harm. Third, pay attention to how adults communicate with children. Jonathan insisted on Snapchat because messages disappear. He told the girls not to save messages. When an adult wants secret, untraceable communication with a child, that's a red flag. Fourth, we have to believe children even when they don't tell us right away. Ayanna's sister was 13 when Jonathan first harmed her. She didn't tell for years. Children don't always have words for what's happening. They're scared, confused, threatened into silence. We can't wait for them to come forward. We have to create safe spaces and ask direct questions. Fifth, when a teenage girl is pregnant and won't identify the father clearly, dig deeper. Ayanna said Jose, but nobody knew Jose. That should have been a bigger red flag. Often when young girls hide the father's identity, it's because he's inappropriate. Someone older. Someone in authority. Sixth, and this is hard to say, but we failed Ayanna. People saw things. People suspected things. People even asked about things. But it still happened. Why? Because we didn't want to believe it. We gave Jonathan the benefit of the doubt. We prioritized family peace over protecting those girls. I'm not blaming one person. I'm talking about us as a society. We don't want to believe family members can be predators. We don't want drama. We don't want to be wrong. But I'd rather be wrong 100 times than be right once and have a child suffer because I stayed quiet. For young people watching, understand this. If someone makes you keep secrets from family, that's not love. If someone threatens you, isolates you, makes you afraid, that's not love. Love doesn't ask you to hide. Love doesn't hurt. And if you're in that situation right now, tell someone. Tell a teacher, a counselor, another family member. Keep telling until someone listens and helps. For adults, if you suspect something, say something. Ask direct questions. Don't worry about being wrong or causing drama. A child's safety matters more than anyone's feelings. Let me talk about Ayanna for a moment, because we can't forget who she was. She was 16 years old, honor student, scholarship offers, dreams of being a doctor or lawyer. She made her family laugh, brought people together, was the light in her father's life. She was also a young girl being manipulated by an adult she trusted. An adult her whole family trusted. When she got pregnant, she thought this man loved her. She thought they'd run away together and be a family. She had no idea she was walking to her death. Ayanna never graduated, never went to college, never became a doctor, never held her daughter Hazel. Her father lost his little girl. Her siblings lost their sister. Her friends lost someone special. Baby Hazel never got a chance at life. All because one man decided his secret was more important than her life. To Ayanna's family, no verdict brings her back. But her story matters. Her life mattered. And what happened to her won't be forgotten. To Christopher, who raised her alone, who watched her grow into an amazing young woman, who had to hear what happened to his baby girl, I cannot imagine your pain. But everyone who hears this will remember Ayanna. Her smile. Her intelligence. Her dreams. She deserved better. To Ayanna's sister, who carried these secrets, who testified about the worst moments of her life, who wondered if she could have saved Ayanna, this was not your fault. You were a child. You were scared. You were manipulated. You're not responsible for Jonathan's choices. To baby Hazel, who never took her first breath, who never met her family who already loved her, rest in peace with your mother. Ayanna Sawyer's body was never found. Jonathan Quillus is serving life without parole at Cross City Correctional Institution in Florida. He'll never walk free. He'll spend his life in a cell, knowing he destroyed multiple families including his own. Rest in peace, Ayanna Lache Sawyer. November 6, 1997 to December 19, 2018. You deserve to live. You deserve to see your dreams come true. Rest in peace, Hazel Michelle Mobley. You were loved before you were born. You were wanted. You were celebrated. This has been Unseen Stories. Thank you for listening to Ayanna's story. Thank you for caring enough to watch until the end. Stay safe. Look out for the children in your life. And never be afraid to speak up when something doesn't feel right.